Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the November Forum of Calumet Revisited for 2025-26. I am Michael Bowes of the Association for the Wolf Lake Initiative. Valerie Penninan, Professor Emerita of History at Calumet College of St. Joseph, is co-sponsor.
Hi, everybody.
Before we introduce tonight's speaker, are there any announcements? If not, I have one. There is a meeting Friday, November 7th. That's just 3 days away. As the 9th annual Wolf Lake Watershed Advisory Committee meeting at Calumet College. And this year it will be at room 200, and it starts around 8:30, and we'll go through at least mid-afternoon, I would think. Tonight's speaker is Craig Zanstra, Superintendent of Planning and Natural Resources Division at the Lake County Parks and Recreation Department. His talk will be followed by a Q&A session. So, Craig, welcome.
Thank you very much, Michael. And good evening, everybody. Like you said, I work for Lake County Parks and Rec. I've been with them about 27 years. And we, over the years, have really grown this park system. And so I'm going to try and share my screen here to share our current parks vision plan. So. There we go. All righty. As you can see on the vision plan here, total Lake County Parks was started in approximately 1968 by the county council in Lake County. There's a park board that was established, and that park board's appointed by county judges, county commissioners, and county council. Also, the 3 North County mayors of Hammond, East Chicago, and Gary. They have also an appointment to our park board. So, as you can see from the park board, Lake County geographically situated in the very northwest corner of Indiana, and strategically on Lake Michigan, we have the Kankakee River to the south. And so over the years, since 1968, the park board's done a pretty good job trying to establish a park system. If you look at the counties in Illinois adjacent to us, Cook County, Will County, some of the other collar counties in Illinois, Lake, DuPage, they had a head start. They started acquiring forest preserve properties probably back before World War I. So they've been at it a long time. Lake County, like I said, we didn't start until 1968. So right now we've got about 8,000 acres that we've protected here in Lake County. We've got some core areas that we have acquired and looked to develop over the years. And so, and along with that is trail corridors too. So I guess starting out in the north part of the county, Walhalla Beach was a county park site. It's actually split between Hammond and Whiting. Because of some budget constraints years ago, the city of Whiting now owns the Whiting side. Lake County Park Board still owns the Hammond side. And so Whiting manages the entire site, though, as a Whiting Park now. But the County Park Board is the one who made the acquisitions from the railroads over the years and made that park happen. So we're still proud of it yet, and we're still active, being that we own the Hammond side, the Park Board does. So over the years, we're hoping to do some more enhancements with the city of Whiting. There's some nice Miram grass plantings there, some other habitat. So along with recreation there is some nice birding there too. So, and then Gibson Woods Nature Preserve, we'll talk about that some more coming up, but that's a 180-acre preserve in City of Hammond and Gary both. A little bit of it's on the east side of Klein Avenue. That park was established with the help of the Nature Conservancy back in the late 70s, early 80s. So that park has grown, and now we're looking at hopefully growing it more. So I'll talk about that coming up with some of our grant opportunities and partnerships there. Lake Ada County Park, which is near the Hard Rock Casino, just south of the Borman Expressway, between Clark Road and Burr Street. It's about a 120-acre site right in the Calumet River. And I'll talk about that one too, being that we have another partnership that we're working on. Three Rivers County Park, which is by I-65 and 8094 interchange. That's another one that's involved in that partnership. So we'll talk about that one a little bit more coming up. And that site's about 100 acres. So, and then Oak Ridge Prairie County Park, Oak Ridge Prairie, split between Griffith and Maryville. That's a really neat site. I actually live adjacent to it on the Maryville side, so I definitely have a soft spot in my heart for it. But if you look at Oak Ridge Prairie, botanically, soils, wetlands, everything, it's very similar to the adjacent Hoosier Prairie Nature Preserve managed by Indiana DNR, also Nature Conservancy, and actually the National Dunes, Indiana Dunes National Park maintains a small area there too. But Hoosier Prairie is about 900 acres. Oak Ridge Prairie is about 1,000 acres now. So we're actively acquiring more property at Oak Ridge, and Oak Ridge has got three trail corridors that come into that park: Erie Lackawanna, the Oak Savannah, and also the C&O Trail. So it's a trail hub, and it's got some really neat it's probably got about 550 native plant species on it, probably about 60 to 70 state listed species between plants, birds, insects, amphibians, reptiles. So it's a really neat site. And then the Oak Savannah Trail pretty much takes off from Oak Ridge Prairie and heads east along the abandoned EJ&E corridor. There's a couple other properties along that corridor that we've acquired. That corridor eventually gets you to Hobart Prairie Grove on the east side of I-65, and that's another 1,500 acres managed by a variety of partners here in the region. And so that's a neat site. The trail kind of bisects it, and so that's a site we're active as well with the city of Hobart, DNR, Nature Preserve Division, Shirley Heinz Land Trust, and some others. So there's some really neat sites there. I encourage anybody to get on the Oak Savannah Trail because there's some neat areas that you go through. Especially my favorite portion of it is between Liverpool and Wisconsin Street in Hobart. If you're able to walk that, it's about 2 miles in length. You start at one side, walk the other. It's a beautiful trail. So if you ever get a chance. Turkey Creek Golf Course, we manage that in Maryville. That's right next to Innsbrook Country Club. So you got two golf courses next to each other. And they do provide quite a bit of golf. Turkey Creek's one of the more reasonably priced golf courses in the area. So also we have Deep River County Park. Deep River County Park's on the very east side of Lake County up against Porter County. Actually, Deep River's about 1,500 acres. And to be honest, there's probably about 2 acres in Porter County that the park board owns as well. So kind of neat, but Deep River's a neat site. It's a very rich site. It's got the Deep River Water Park. It's got a couple day use areas. Our main office is there that I'm at right now. Also, our park maintenance facility is there. Someday we'd like to put a campground here at Deep River. There's also some really neat sites botanically at Deep River that have been, we've had some botanical surveys done, and we hope someday might even become state dedicated nature preserves. There's probably some sites in here that probably have another 400 to 500 native plants on it, some areas of the park. So it's a neat site. And so over the years, I think you'll see some work done as far as a trail from north to south in this park with a bridge over Route 30 by the water park. And we hope to put the campground in too. So it'll be a really neat area. And then to the west again, number 12 is our Lake Hills site. It's not open to the public, but it's one we've been working on the last probably 10 years really hard. And so we've acquired our first 150 acres at that site, which that location is between Austin Avenue and Klein Avenue in the town of Cherville. Also part of it's in St. John Township, but you can imagine that area. There's a lot of development going on. The west side of Lake County is is highly developed and developing quickly, especially the north and the west side. So any open space we get in that Cherville, Dyer, St. John area is a bonus. And so that site will be open to the public at some point in the future. We're still acquiring some more property. When we first acquired our first 100 acres there, we thought if we had a 120-acre site there someday, we'd be happy. We just acquired our 150th acre, and I think there's a fairly good chance that we might be able to make this site 200 acres at some point. So it's got some really neat wetlands on it, some oak hickory savanna, clay soil. So at some point it'll be a really neat site with some nice trails that got, you probably got about 40 to 50 feet of topography change there on that site between north and south. So it is aptly named. It would be our Lake Hill site. And so it's got some small hills on it, but it'll be a great site for the public to enjoy. We also want to re-meander a portion of Turkey Creek that flows through this property. So we're hoping that will work out, and then also do some mitigation on the site. So, but the site will be, and in that area, we've had a lot of good feedback from the public because of the open space. A lot of people in that Tri-Town area don't see a lot of open space being preserved. So anything that's done, they're just absolutely thrilled with it. Lemon Lake to the south. Lemon Lake was one of our first county park sites. It's about a 400-acre site in the town of Cedar Lake, and then also Center Township. It's got a lot of activities in it between fishing and trails and soccer, and there's a disc golf course. There's also some nice natural areas there. We've got some nice wetlands. We got a nice dammed up lake that provides good fishing, but we got some nice oak hickory savannas, prairie. So it's a pretty neat site. So it's slowly being surrounded by development. It's pretty much developed around the whole south, west, and somewhat on the north side. So it's getting landlocked, but it's still a great site. Cedar Creek Golf Course. That's our second golf course in Hanover Township, just south of 231 on 231, near St. John there, 41 and 231. Beesicker Prairie is at the corner of 41 and 231, and Beesicker is our neighbor to the west. And so we've got a nice nature preserve there to the west, and some of that park does hold some oak hickory savanna, some other areas, but it's there for golf. It's got a driving range. It's about a 100-acre site there, right on 231. So, and then further south yet, we've got a number 20. That's a future park site we have called the Cedar Lake Marsh. It's about a 450-acre site right up against the south end of Cedar Lake. Interesting, Cedar Lake right now in its current elevation, when the first settlers came into Lake County, 1830s, 40s, whatever it was, 20s. Cedar Lake used to be about 10 feet higher than it is now, the elevation. There was a natural earthen dam where it currently empties in the creek on the south east side of the lake, and that dam was taken out, so it lowered the lake effectively 10 feet. So the lake used to be higher than it is, and so what we've been buying is what they call the South Cedar Lake Marsh. It's one of the largest contiguous marshes in the north half of the state of Indiana. We've had nesting sandhill cranes there for probably 30 years. Rich bird species. It's got a huge 400-acre marsh on the south end of the lake, and we pretty much bought up the whole marsh and some of the surrounding uplands. It's got some really nice oak hickory woods on the slopes, and so we've got a tree farm on one side that was acquired, and we own up to the park board up to the east side on Lowerman's on the north, but then also on the east side we have good street access for future public access. Interesting with that site, we're going to be entering into an agreement with Indiana DNR Division of Fish and Wildlife. That site, part of it will be hunted in the next couple of years. So there will be limited waterfowl hunting on the site. On one portion of it, some of the portion will have a reserve area. And then also there'll be a trail around that site. And then we're also looking at putting in a parking lot, playground, picnic shelters, all that on the east side. So it's a neat site. We're still acquiring more property there, but beautiful property. And then also I kind of skipped over number 13. That's our Beaver Dam site, another future county park site, about 400 acres between 231 and 101st Avenue in Center Township in Crown Point. That site will be some point hunted as well, but we're also going to partner with DNR on that. But it still harbors some great wetlands. 2 legal drains go through that property, which we've already rerouted 1 legal drain and then put some structures on to be able to hold stormwater back. The site's got nesting sandhill cranes, a lot of bird species, turkeys, all kinds of good stuff there. So, and there will be a trail around that that park as well when it's open. So you're going to have hunting during the hunting season, but throughout the rest of the year, there'll be a trail there for people to exercise and walk and enjoy nature on both those sites. So it's exactly what the people need. And then also Stony Run, which is on the east side of our county, southeast side in Winfield Township. It's about a 350-acre site. It's got our Lake County Vietnam Veterans Memorial, which if you look at it, Vietnam, it was the first Vietnam Veterans Memorial in the whole country that was established. I think it was first put in 1975. And since then, there's been a couple different reiterations of it, and it's been enhanced. But it started the whole Veterans Memorial Parkway. So anyways, that's at Stony Run. Stony Run's got some beautiful oak and hickory and other hardwoods on it, trails, parking lot, of course, but then it's got playground, picnic shelters, all kinds of good stuff. So, and then further to the south, Buckley Homestead, that's just southeast of Lowell. If you're right across from Lowell High School, you see some farm ground right across from it. That's Buckley Homestead. Buckley Homestead's about 700 acres. It's probably our greatest donation ever to Lake County Park Board. Rose Pierce, she was a Buckley. She donated 600 acres of that property to us from the 1970s into the early 80s. So that effectively, controls a lot of farm ground that we still farm there. We use the cash rent to help maintain the historic buildings at that site. We've got a lot of programs there. There's historic structures, the Buckley family's house from the 1840s, 50s, then barns, other historic structures. So a lot of school groups go down to see how it was back in the day with farming, and we have our Fall Fest there and other programs. So it's just a very well-loved site, and if you ever get a chance, make sure you check it out. Our largest park site is on the southeast side of Lake County. That's Grand Calumet County Park. It's about 2,000 acres between Eagle Creek Township and also Cedar Creek Township. I-65 effectively cuts through the western quarter of the property. So if you're on I-65 going to Indianapolis, before you get into Newton County, Jasper, you'll see it's heavily wooded on both sides with a lot of forested wetland. That's all Grand Calumet County Park on both sides. So Grand Calumet, it's got a lot of equestrian trails for horse users. It's got heavily used in the fall for hunting, deer hunting, waterfowl hunting's huge. We have some pumps on the Kankakee River that we flood farm fields and effectively allow for hunting there on the site. So we've got about 30 blind locations, and usually they'll harvest anywhere between 700 and 1,500 ducks in a waterfowl in a given season, and maybe harvest 30 to 40 deer. So it's a site that's well used by the hunting community. But then also throughout the rest of the year, we have programs. We have in early October, we have the Voyager Rendezvous canoe program there, where kids, fourth graders, get down there. We just hosted about 1,000 of them in early October, where they have biology. They're taught biology, also the history of the Kankakee River. And then also they get on the river in the canoes that are able to check that out. So it's a pretty neat program. So with that, that kind of gives you an overview. I kind of want to talk a little about the trails as well. Our Oak Savannah Trail starts, I mentioned earlier, at Oak Ridge Prairie. It actually starts right on Arbogast in Griffith on the Erie Lackawanna Trail. It kind of hugs Arbogast, and then basically goes into the park, and then goes east 12 miles all the way to Porter County, and that feeds into the Prairie Duneland Trail. So the entire trail, 11 miles, is 11 of the miles are maintained by Lake County Parks. 1 mile in the city of Hobart is maintained by the city of Hobart, but it's a really nice trail. And some areas, some open space you go through. You do go through some residential areas in the city of Gary in the south end, also through Maryville and Cal Township. But still, it's a great trail, and the community loves it. In fact, we're working with the Blind Social Center in Gary. We're working on getting them trail access to the Oak Savannah Trail. They have their new building just west of Broadway in Gary there, right up against the trail. They put it there for a reason, because of the trail. So we're working with them, and we have a walkathon every summer with them. And so it's a great event. We have all kinds of 5K events. We have runs and rides that come through on the Oak Savannah. So it's a heavily used trail. Erie Lackawanna Trail, we maintain 1.5 miles of the Erie Lackawanna Trail between Arborgas and Griffith and Burr Street in Cherville. We've got a trailhead at Burr Street. It's hard not to miss our portion. Our portion is about 1.5 miles. We keep it natural. So I worked with NIPSCO to put a native prairie mix in. And so our trail has native prairie on both sides of the trail for that 1.5 miles. So it looks a lot different, but it provides a lot of habitat for birds and for amphibians, reptiles, anything. So we have neighbors sometimes complain about snakes coming into their yard or other things, but that's what we do. We're all about biodiversity. So we do it a little different than some of the neighbors, but that's okay. Highland actually now is putting in some pollinator habitat on their portion of the Erie Lackawanna. Griffith's considering it, and so is Cherville. So I think what we're doing might spread to some other communities, so that would be great. And then we also have the C&O Trail. That's one of our newer trails. Starts at Oak Ridge Prairie, goes into Maryville, and goes all the way down to South Lake Mall at Mississippi Street. So both ourselves and the town of Maryville maintain that trail. It's a really neat trail, so you can access it from Oak Ridge and then head about 4 to 5 miles southeast, where it'll take you right to Mississippi Street at the mall there, right by the Hilton Garden Inn. So, and eventually that will be extended through the mall area and extend all the way to Winfield and Deep River County Park. So that's in the works. And then we also have part of the Pensy Greenway Trail. That one, the Pensy Greenway Trail, is in Lansing, Cal City, comes into Munster, goes into Cherville, and then also in unincorporated Lake County. So ourselves and the town had a project 2 years ago to extend the trail, the White Hawk Country Club in Crown Point. So that trail is complete to there. And so we'll be extending that trail eventually southeast. The city of Crown Point will be. But then we're working on the portion of the trail called the Vendors or More Parkway Trail. That begins at the southeast side of Crown Point by 113th and 231 by Sowerman Woods. That trail will continue 9 miles to the town of Hebron, paralleling State Route 231, going through Leroy and going into Hebron. We've already acquired the first 3 miles of that corridor between 113th and Iowa Street. So we've acquired around the whole interchange of 231 and 65, including parcels from the new hospital, the new hospital that just went in at the interchange there. And then also we're starting to buy the next 6 miles from Iowa Street to County Line. The town of Hebron's already installed their trail. So the people in Porter County really want to ride west and come into Lake County. So we're trying to make that happen sooner than later. Our first portion of that trail will be built in 2027. It's being engineered right now from 113th to Delaware Street, and there will be a bridge over Broadway at that location. There's a CVS there. The interesting thing, we're trying to use the historic Kankakee River Bridge that currently was the State Line Road Bridge, right where the Kankakee River goes in the state of Illinois, right there in Kankakee County and Lake County. That historic bridge is coming down. So we want to move that bridge to Broadway and 231 and use it as a pedestrian bridge. So right now, Butler, Fairman, Seifert's our engineer, and they're engineering that one. So with that, that kind of ends my overview of that one. I kind of want to go into a couple other of our projects that are a little more in depth. One along the Grand Calumet River, and another one along the Little Calumet River, which is closer to some of the area I know everybody here is probably familiar with, but no less a very important project. So I'm going to try and stop and share another screen here. So, yeah. All righty, here we go. Here right now is the Grand Calumet River. Basically, it's the Grand Calumet River from almost the state line back to the Gary Airport. You can kind of see that aerial in the middle of what I'm sharing with you there. Um, we've been working with EPA, Indiana DNR Nature Preserves, the Nature Conservancy, Shirley Hens Land Trust, City of Gary, others, all the municipalities along there, probably for the last 20, 25 years. Specifically for the last 12 years, we've been utilizing EPA dollars, their Great Lakes Restoration Initiative grants, which actually were 100% funded grant, so no match. So Gibson Woods specifically, that's one of our Lake County Park sites. That and Tolston Ridges. We've got over $2 million of EPA funds in the last 12 years to help pretty much transform Gibson Woods. I mean, if you were in Gibson Woods 15, 20 years ago, you might remember the Nature Center and the boardwalk that led from it. You were basically in an area with big, large cottonwoods and other areas along Gibson Woods, the whole preserve. It was very overgrown with cottonwoods, silver maple, other Chinese elm, Siberian elm, other non-native species, some native species, but aggressive natives. And so the problem with the cottonwoods and the silver maples were they were in the swales. And the cottonwoods suck all the water up, especially they're huge. And so when the cottonwoods started leafing out in May, a lot of those swales that were nice wetlands would dry up because of those large trees. And so the ridges were in pretty good shape. The ridges were majority black oak and white oak, and still are. Some black elms in there, a few red maple, but that's primarily is the tree species found on the ridges. The swales, though, are a mixture of herbaceous plant species, even some emergent species. And so what we did initially was we started taking all the big trees out. So we got the funds to do it. We hired some big companies to take those large cottonwood, silver maple out. And right away, we noticed that the hydrology in those swales changed dramatically at Gibson Woods. The water not only stayed throughout the year, but we had sometimes water that was so high it almost drained out of the park in a few locations. After rain events and so forth, we hold a lot of storm water there. So we're doing the neighborhood a favor, which is good, but also our wetlands are healthier hydraulically. So that's a good thing. So we had a lot of feedback from the public. A lot of people didn't quite understand the trees being taken out, but there's still a lot of trees there yet. And we've seen a lot of different bird species use the park now, birds that are dependent on wetlands. We've actually restored a couple prairie areas, more grassland species where some of the big trees were along the south end of the park. So we've noticed a big difference. We've got, in the spring now, we've got woodcock again in the park. We've got bitterns. We've got different herons, all because of the better herbaceous habitat that's found in the park now. So, and also EPA supplied us with funds to help maintain this. So, not only did the trees come out, but we reseeded some areas. We also did thin out some of the wooded areas on the ridges to provide more light down for more herbaceous species. But with that, we've seen a big increase in the species used, and so are the species seen there, the native species. So it's been a great thing. And I'll point out then too some of the other sites that have been worked on as well along that stretch. Indiana DNR. If you look on the east side of that map by the Gary Chicago Airport, you've got Clark and then also Pine Station Nature Preserve. They're right on the north east side of the airport. You can kind of see those dark green bands and then the lighter green bands. That's some of that dune and swale habitat that really the whole northwest side of Lake County and the southeast side of Cook County was that dune and swale habitat. It's all very similar to what you find at Sand Ridge Nature Center. Same kind of habitat. That's the same dune and swale that you would see in this area as well. So you can relate to that. But Pine Station, Clark and Pine, both those nature preserves have been transformed as well. Pine Station actually is an 800-acre nature preserve managed by DNR Nature Preserves. It's the richest nature preserve in the state of Indiana, botanically, the whole state. So out of probably 200 nature preserves in the state, Pine Station, I think it's got 800 native plant species on it. It's pretty rich. It's a neat site. Unbelievable the amount of plants that's there. And then also, if you look to the along the toll road, the DuPont natural area, that's managed by TNC. You've got DuPont, and then also Towson Ridges is just south of that. But DuPont, when you're on the toll road, between Klein Avenue and Kennedy Avenue, that's DuPont. And so when you're on the toll road, you can kind of see where the Grand Cal is just north of you, and it kind of meanders its way through that DuPont area. That's another really rich site. It actually looks like a river in that location. You've got bald eagles there all the time. There's a couple other smaller sites nearby. They also do maintain Roxana Marsh, a couple other smaller areas along the Grand Cal that some people might be familiar with. So, and in the coming years, we plan to do more along the Grand Cal to control more of some invasive species. So we're all utilizing EPA money. And that money's running out next year. So what we've done though is now we're partnering with BP.
Talk like a fuckwad.
BP has went ahead and they have gave us a grant for $1.5 million to us, to Indiana DNR Nature Preserves and TNC, to basically keep maintaining these preserves as we have the last 12 years. So we'll be funded for the next 3 years to have our crews, and then also have equipment and supplies needed to maintain these natural areas, because you just can't walk away from them. Once you treat the Phragmites and other invasive species, if you don't keep on it, they'll come back in. So, so we're very fortunate BP's helped us out, and it's just it's a great grant for us and for that whole area. Also, we got another grant from EPA, and that grant's going to be used to transform some of Gibson Woods. We want to put new, that's about a $750,000 grant, and we're going to put new exhibits in Gibson Woods. We're going to redo the parking lot at Gibson Woods with a pervious asphalt. We're also going to put in new boardwalks at Gibson, new signage, and some fencing. So in the coming years here, you're going to see some changes at Gibson Woods as well. And then, yeah, just looking at this project here, you've got 3 or 4 really good partners there. Total about 900 acres of nature preserves are being maintained and restored along the Grand Cal in this area. So I'm going to go ahead now and share one of my other screens. I want to go ahead and share our Little Calumet River project, which is a new project we have. And that project basically has come about in the last 6-7 years. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Paul Labus, but Paul Labus worked for the Nature Conservancy for many years, lives in Whiting. Paul kind of started this project seeing some of the neat bird species that are along the Little Calumet River between, let's say, Wicker Park at 41, Wicker Park all the way to I-65. That's basically your flood control project for the Little Calumet River. If you remember back in 2008, the Little Calumet flooded, Munster flooded, a little bit of Hammond, some of Highland, a lot of damage. So after that, they put in a new levee system to help control all this, or the levee system was being installed at that time, but now it's finished. So, anyways, that levee system, especially in Klein, really from around Klein Avenue in Griffith and in Highland there, all the way east to 65, that's your large portion of the flood control project, where you've got wide levees along the river, and you hold a lot of storm water there, predominantly because you've got areas in Hammond, Highland, Munster that have developed all the way up against the river. So you need somewhere for that flood water to go. Hart Ditch, which comes in from Will County or Cook County, flows in through Dyer and comes in by Wicker Park. That's a large drain that comes in. Katy Marsh Ditch drains in there. Other areas in Hammond, Gary. So a lot of storm water comes into the Little Calumet River. So with that, though, we noticed a lot of rare birds using some of these marshes along the Little Calumet River. So with that, we went ahead and partnered with Indiana, with the Nature Conservancy, the Wetlands Initiative out of Chicago, also Great Lakes Audubon. Audubon was involved because they do all the bird monitoring along there. So right now we've got probably about 1,500 acres total. Little Calumet River Basin Commission manages probably about 2,000 acres between the levees in those areas. So there's a lot of real estate there. And so we're working on controlling the Phragmites and all the other invasive species and establishing hemi-marsh and wet prairie habitat. So we've been starting predominantly at the Highland Heron Rookery, which is on the west side of Klein Avenue in Highland. If you're on Facebook and Northwest Indiana Birding Network, every day you'll see posts on the birds that are there. So we put a water control structure in on that to help raise and lower the water elevations to manage the plant species. And then also we're able to hold more water in there. So there's been a lot more rare bird species and other species using that site. So it's been a good experience. And so we're very happy with that. And so we've also been working at another unit we call, it's off Martin Luther King Jr. Drive in Gary, end of the Borman Expressway. That's another about, oh gosh, that's probably about a 200 acre unit. And so we're doing the same thing there. We put a water control structure in, restoring hemi-marsh and also wet prairie. Really neat site. In between those, we have what we call the Chase Street Complex. That's between Grant Street in Gary and also Clark Road in Gary. And so that's about an 800 acre unit that we're calling it. With that one, what we want to do is we're actually going to re-meander some of the Little Calumet River between those levees. It's been ditched and straightened through some of there, so we want to re-meander it to help slow the water down, let the plants help take the nutrients and other impurities out of the water, better habitat for insects, for birds, for amphibians, reptiles. So we're working right now. We got about 60% engineering done on plans on that, and we're looking to get funding, but we're starting on it. And there's several other units there, some oak savanna, some other prairie, that we're going to help to start manage as well. Lake County Parks actually has its own crew that is maintaining some of those areas. So we've got a 4-person crew that's based out of Lake Etta County Park, and they're there to help maintain some of these areas that we're restoring. We're also using contractors to do some of the large scale spraying, herbicide work, some of the large scale cutting that we're doing. But once we get down to the fine tuning and to some of the maintenance, then we have crews that come in and they maintain it, just like we do in the Grand Calumet River. So in the coming years, we're looking at increasing the size of that crew. And then the other side I want to mention is what we call the Marshalltown Marsh. That's from MLK Drive north of the Borman Expressway all the way to I-65. That's about a 400 acre unit. And that one, the Little Calumet flows through it. That's another one we want to re-meander the Little Calumet River through that 400 acres. So we've already got almost 100% plans on that. We're looking to get fully funded, and we hope to begin that project in the next year, doing some of the work, re-meandering the river. There's about 200 acres of agriculture that's being done every year there that it's going to come out of agriculture. We'll restore it all to wet prairie. And then also the neat thing is we're going to extend the bike trail that currently ends at MLK Drive and extend that into Three Rivers County Park, which is nearby. So Three Rivers County Park is kind of the east end of this project, and so Lake Etta is in the middle. So all these are going to be connected by the Little Calumet River Trail, which right now comes in from Hammond and Munster. Through Hammond, you have the Monon Trail and the Munster. That trail will connects into the Little Calumet River Trail, and we'll be able to go all the way east into Gary and Lake Station on that same trail. So it'll be a neat thing for recreation and everything else. So, and then we're, looking at partnerships. We have programs and stuff, so forth with Brown Frace's Green Spaces in the city, also Calumet Collaborative. So we've had some programs recently at Lake Etta at our Chase Street Complex where we have community come out and fish and do paddling and bird watching. And so we're looking at the community to help us guide us with some of the design on that Chase Street Complex, and then also at the Marshalltown Marsh, because Hatcher Park is on the north side of that Marshalltown Marsh, and it's named after the first, African American mayor of Gary, Richard Hatcher. And so that park has fallen into some disrepair. So we're working on redoing that park, enhancing it, making it better, and that will be kind of a gateway into this Marshalltown Marsh. It'll connect the Three Rivers County Park. There's a nearby City of Gary school, a couple churches. So all this will tie together. So, we're looking at and really working with the community to make all this happen. So, we want to make sure that we include them in all our planning and all our outreach, because ultimately, it's the residents in Gary and all these other areas that will probably use these sites as much as anybody. So we want to make sure they're there from the beginning to be able to get their opinion and also what they want to see in those areas. So and then this one, our funding's coming from Calumet Rivers grant on the federal side. And then the Little Calumet River Basin Development Commission is funding us on the local side, along with some other grants that we've gotten from NIPSCO and a few other communities. So we're doing pretty good there. We just applied for another $1 million from the Little Calumet River Commission. We applied for another grant from Calumet Rivers. So we're hoping to stay funded for the foreseeable future and eventually make this project, a lot larger of a project as far as maintenance. In fact, we'd like eventually to start maintaining areas west towards Wicker Park. Also the Oxbow Park that City Hammond manages near Kennedy Avenue. We want to start working in there to reduce the invasive species. And then eventually work on some pockets all the way to the state line along the Little Calumet River. So, just include some other smaller pockets in Hammond and Munster. So, there's a lot of work to do, but this project's really taking on a whole new life. So we're really looking forward to the coming years on this one. So with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and just share my one of my last screens. That's got our overall park plan again. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody has anything. So.
I'm going to ask a question. I'm Lisa Soa Downs. I'm here tonight. I wear many hats. So one of the hats I wear is I serve on the Conservation Committee for Pathway to Adventures Council for Scouting America. And so a lot of our scouts are very active doing conservation work on the Illinois side. But we have lots of scouts on the Indiana side. And so we're kind of looking for ways where scouts can get involved in conservation projects, more so than cutting buckthorn, other projects, and usually the scouts end up cutting buckthorn. But it would be great to do other things. So is that something that maybe somebody from our committee can reach out to talk to about specific places where maybe scouts can get involved or take on projects? So one of the other things that we have is there's a conservation award that scouts can earn. It's kind of like an Eagle Scout project, but in conservation specifically. And so maybe, there are some opportunities for scouts to earn it working in one of the preserves or projects here.
Yeah, no, I would say, you've got a great opportunity. In fact, one of the best things would be our Little Calumet River project. We have plug planting events. And so we're always looking for help. We get help from IUN students with Dr. Courtwright, Spencer Courtwright. And then also we have some other community members come out from Highland, their garden club, and a few others. But yeah, plug planting I think would be great for the scouts and maybe something a little different. Instead of cutting things, you're planting, live plugs into these wetland areas. And
right.
So I think, there's definitely some events that we would love to use you for and let the scouts gain some hours and some time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So is there, and then reach out to you. Can you put your email, I guess, or contact in the chat? Maybe that would be the best.
Yes, I'll do that.
Great.
Yep.
Can I ask one more question?
Oh, please do. Yes.
Is Gibson Woods hikeable now? I mean, for many years we weren't able to hike there because, and I'm the Cub Scout hike coordinator. So we used to hike at Gibson Woods, and then it got too wet, and so all the trails, nothing connected enough. Is it hikeable now, or is it still kind of too wet?
It is. It's very hikeable. We've been really dry the last probably year and a half now, definitely a
Right.
little over a year. And so, actually some of the wetlands in there have, even with the work we've done, they've been a little bit on the dry side. So,
Okay.
so you're still fine yet. Seasonally, maybe in the spring, sometimes there might be a couple closures because of high water.
Right.
But that should be solved as well once we put our new boardwalks in. But regardless, you'd have other areas you can walk in. So yeah, you're more than welcome to come, and you'd have a great hike there.
Great, great. We usually are looking for miles, 1, 2, 5 mile hikes. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah. We did Seidner Dune and Swale and left with lots of ticks. So, yeah.
Our crews, some of them, I mean, they do it because we pay them actually pretty good. We pay them about $20 an hour, or a lot of college students and others, but some of them take pride in how many ticks they get each year.
Oh,
I mean, there's times where I kid you not, they've told me they've picked 12
yeah.
dozen ticks at a time off themselves.
Yeah,
So
that's what
yeah,
we all had at Seidner Dune. A truck
yes,
had been, like a work truck had gone in before us. And so
yeah,
we think that work truck stirred them all up and then they all landed on up. That's the most we've ever had was there. It's a great walkable, it's nice out there, at Seidner Dune and Swale.
it
It's really
is.
nice.
Yeah, and they just put a new, I believe they just put a new boardwalk in themselves.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Mhm.
If no one's going to ask another question, I have one more.
Sure, please.
I know about, and this might be a little controversial, so I'm not sure. I understand if you can't answer, but
Yeah,
I'm aware of the Save the Briar East Woods, which is next to Gibson Woods,
yeah.
kind of the same as Gibson Woods. I've hiked Briar East Woods as well.
Okay.
Any thought on why? I mean. Again, it's controversial, but when you
Yeah.
hike Briar East, you can see such a comparison to Gibson Woods,
Hmm.
and it's such a nice preserve. I just wish that there was some way that it could be saved.
Yeah, I read a assessment of the woods there at Briar East from Emily Stork. She's a regional ecologist for Indiana DNR for the Grand Calumet River area, and so yeah, she wrote an assessment of it, and she was pleasantly surprised with the size of the oaks that were on those
Right?
ridges at Briar East. In fact, and I've seen them too. I mean, they're bigger than any of the oaks that are on Gibson Woods or
Woods.
Tolson Ridges. So maybe because, that ridge along 169th there it's a little higher of a ridge and maybe older. So you've got older trees there. But no, there was, it probably would have qualified for natural area. But, unfortunately, it kind of started years ago. Let's see, there's another subdivision nearby there. Um, and that went in probably now 15 or 20 years ago. Um, and unfortunately, that kind of started the process of losing that whole area. And then now with the city, saying that they need to put the bridge in and everything else. But I don't know if all that's going to be lost when the bridge goes in. But it sounds like maybe there's residential that might go into at some point or something else. But I know they have mentioned maybe planting more trees. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, we
when I
kind
hear
of,
about them planting trees, I hear about them planting them on parkways and things. And, there's a
yeah,
difference between planting a tree on a parkway and losing a whole ecological area and a whole,
yeah. No,
trees
I
that have
agree.
been there long standing. So I just, any chance I have,
Yep,
I'm again, not trying to be confrontational. Just any
yep,
chance I have, I bring up Briar East to try and find maybe that one. I guess I'm naive a little at heart and speak for the trees and,
yeah.
want to save as much as I can. So, trying to find that maybe that one person that can help save Briar East. And
Yeah.
I don't live in Indiana, so,
Oh,
I'm
gotcha.
not like I'm trying not.
Yep. Well, as a department, taken a position not to make public comments on it as far as
Right.
Briar East goes, because with us, our main concern really is Gibson Woods, and we're hopefully going to be adding 150 acres to Gibson Woods. So we're working on that right now, and I think it's going to happen eventually, which is great. And so, and with that, we're hoping the city of Hammond will at least not get in the way of it. And up to this point, it's been working out pretty good. So I'm hoping
Good.
that will work out. But I would say, as far as me, we have our Gibson Woods plant sale for wild ones at Lake Etta, and I know Briar East had a booth there, and so. But behind the scenes, I'm still friends with some of those people, and I would encourage them as well because it's for a good cause. There's no
Right.
doubt.
Right.
But then for us, it's a balancing act because we've got to work with the city on certain things. So we unfortunately have to ride the fence sometimes. So
Right, right. I know that that's Save the Dunes took the same kind of stance and wouldn't support them either. And like that, it just mind boggle.
yeah,
Again, I, thanks.
Lisa,
Go
yeah,
ahead. I'll let
it-
somebody else ask a
yeah,
question.
I'm glad you brought those woods up. I was going to, and then I thought, no, it's too political, and I
Yeah.
believe that's the magic word. It's Hammond politics. Uh, every group I've talked to, kind of, and for whatever reason, they tiptoe around it, and no one except the local citizenry can get involved. And I don't know why the Hammond politics are so different.
Right. I guess I what made me think about it more was when you were talking about how we listen to our citizens and we listen to our residents and we try to work with our residents and that like here are a group of residents who are really trying hard to save, that's an area where, okay, you're going to plant trees somewhere else, but where are the coyote going? Where are the animals that are living there? Where are there's a marshland inside Briar East. And so what happens to all of that if so again, I get it. I'm just, again, I'm just trying to find the person on the white horse.
yeah. No, I feel for you. I wish it could be preserved too. I really do. So, and I'm
Yeah.
hoping maybe somehow it does.
Yeah. I'm hoping, yeah, maybe the funding will fall through for a bridge.
Yeah, right.
Hey, Craig, I hope it's Mark Bowman.
Oh, hey, Mark.
See you. And thank you for the fantastic presentation and for the vision reflected in what you presented tonight is really exciting.
Mhm.
I'm here with my friend Scott, who is a volunteer in the Will County Forest Preserve District.
Oh, great.
Today was out at the Evans Judge site along the Kankakee River, and so some questions could go along that the whole Kankakee system, but we're talking Calumet, and one thing these guys have encountered, and I'm just curious if you guys have and how you have dealt with it, is the uptick in mountain biking, and how do you navigate this intense recreational use of the sites that you have and their popularity for folks to do all kinds of stuff out there, including mountain biking, and balancing that against environmental goals that you have? Yeah, and any particular wisdom there? I know it's been a really tricky pathway for Cook, DuPage, Will, and I wonder if you guys have run into that as well.
Yeah, we have and are currently. We allow a little bit of mountain biking at Deep River County Park and a few select trails. The same thing at Stony Run County Park. We've got one trail that we let them use. And so what we do is we've just tried to put signage up that, keeps them on those trails only. Oak Ridge Prairie, we don't allow mountain bikes there. Sandy soil, so it's, a little bit more easier to tear things up. But both Deep River and Stony Run, they have a little more clay soil, which isn't quite so bad. So yeah, no, that's been a little bit of a challenge because it's hard keeping them in the same place. And we also sometimes run into some issue with equestrian users because they want to
really?
over. So,
Wow.
yeah, so we've got to balance that both out. But then, yeah, so what we've tried to do is just use signs and then, our park staff to gently remind people where they can go and where they can't go. And so, we haven't seen a lot of huge damage or anything, but, we're trying to keep on top of it. And at some point,
Yeah.
We might even want to provide an area exclusively for mountain bikes. We've got one part of our park that it's an old quarry at Deep River. It's about a 40-acre old sand mine.
Yeah.
And so it's at the bottom of the sand mine, it's not the greatest botanically, of course. So we're looking at maybe making that a mountain bike only course for them, just to kind of put them there. Ironically, the mayor at one point of Hammond wanted to put a mountain bike track at or course at Gibson Woods, but
No.
it being a state dedicated nature preserve, that wouldn't fly. So,
Right, right,
you know,
right.
yeah, so didn't work.
Exactly. Thanks, Craig. That's interesting stuff. And I don't know if you've ever run into the group along the way called Camber, the Chicago Area Mountain Biking Association. They're aggressive and
Okay, yeah.
and are trying to state that they can manage what the community is doing, the mountain biking community, but it's super tricky and you know and looking at it on the other side, it's like so cool. Like people are finding fun ways to engage in these spaces that are such a key part of everything that you're doing. So.
Sure.
I'm sure this isn't the only kind of conflict you're seeing about use out there, but anyway.
Oh, but I see the same thing though. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome stuff.
You could send them over to Big Marsh here in Chicago, and they can mountain bike all they want.
Mountain bike
at Big Marsh.
Exactly right. That's right. And I'm sure there's some other questions, but if you get to it, just curious about thinking about the Kankakee River corridor as well. I know that's not coming this evening, but just really cool things happening in that whole corridor, and which is a national river corridor, and But
I was going to mention that one a little bit more too. But the Kankakee definitely. There's a lot of low hanging fruit there. So I'm on the board of Friends of the Kankakee. Gus Nyberg's our president now, which is great, and we actually have an executive director. So we're moving forward there.
Could I ask who's that real quick?
T.J. Larney.
Okay.
And then Gus is our president now. So
Right.
So, right. Yeah. So we're actually looking to buy property, our first parcel in Indiana. So.
Okay. Well, stay tuned.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks, Craig. Awesome presentation.
My pleasure.
I'm going to ask another question. Michael, I hope you can kick me off at any point. I also I'm a water tester with the Wolf Lake Initiative. And so can you talk a little bit about your thoughts for expanding in the Wolf Lake kind of area? Or is there any thought?
Well, I know our Grand Calumet River partnership. If you look at the Grand Cal River from the Chicago Sanitary Ship Canal, or the Sanitary Ship Canal, which goes north in East Chicago and then up into the lake. There's a west branch of that canal, that sanitary canal, and it goes almost all the way to Lake Calumet, to Wolf Lake there. So I think as a group, we've been looking at some ways to maybe make some ecological connections between what we're doing on the Grand Cal River and then also along Wolf Lake, because I know Wolf Lake's got some really nice water quality and some neat plant species around it, a lot of nice wetland habitat. So if there's a way that we can enhance that corridor along the canal and along the Grand Cal River up that way, I think that's something we want to look at. But we've kind of identified some areas along on a map at least, and we really want to try and enhance those in the coming years. So.
Great, thank you.
Oh yeah, you're welcome.
This is Diane Kitchell. I came a little bit late to the presentation, and I'd love a link to review the whole thing if possible. I don't know if you had covered anything about like adding milkweed for monarch butterflies to your seed mix. If you could comment on that, thanks.
Yeah, pretty much every single seed mix we use, if it's a more upland seed mix, we'll have different upland milkweeds, whether it's the butterfly weed or just the common milkweed. And then all our wetland mixes, they always have swamp milkweed in them. So anytime now that we put a mix together, we always make sure we've got some of the milkweeds in there. So I think that's the neat thing now is really you see more of a effort for the pollinators and getting those pollinator species and those mixes from, species that would bloom from spring all the way through fall. So I think we're seeing more of that. We're following suit with that too. So
That's really awesome to hear. Thank you so much.
you're welcome. Yeah.
Yeah, we should have some recordings of this tonight. So I'm scratching down every person that has indicated that they would like a recording. But if I missed your name or something, you can always get hold of me, and I'll get the recording for you. Do we have some other questions?
Looks like you had some good questions in the chat.
Yeah, I do have one more question. I am part of the Lake County SISMA group, which is Cooperative Invasive Species Management. It's a real small fledgling group. And if there's any way that we could work with Lake County Parks on planting projects, how do we find out about like your volunteer, efforts and stuff? How do we get involved or get on a list for that?
I would say go ahead and if you'd like, I can't access for some reason the chat right now with what I have, but if you wouldn't mind, just contact us here at our county park office and reach out to me. My email address, it's easy. It's craigz@lakecountyparks.com.
Okay, great.
So yep, do that, and then or if you'd like, our number here, it's 945-0543, a 219 area code. And so if you call here, you'll be able to get to me, and then just please reach out, and I'd be glad to put you in with our group on the Grand Calumet River, our group on the Little Calumet River, and then even what we're doing along the Kankakee River as well. So
Yeah,
there's probably some
because
projects in between. Yeah.
we've hosted 3 weed wrangles just here in Munster, and attacked some garlic mustard. And so the group is, like, again, very small and fledgling, but we may have some access to some grant money, hopefully, at some point. And then what do we do with it? So, it'd be nice to partner with like Lake County Parks and figure out a good strategy for like what we can do to help. So
Please do. Yeah, that'd be great.
yeah,
And if you want to too, if everybody knows Karen Corrier from Gibson Woods, Karen, I work with Karen. We see each other all the time, and so if you reach out to Karen, she can always put you in contact with me too. It's always a good place to reach out. So yeah,
she knows me from the Munster Monarch project and stuff. So yeah, we've interacted. So thank you. Yeah, this is a good, positive, when everything seems so down, and like the wall of Phragmites just never ends when you see it. And, I guess the other question would be, I mean, I know we're probably running over time, but would be like what to do with railroad properties. And I know that's another whole topic, probably a whole night, but, to somehow get them to address their property.
Yeah, there's actually some really nice railroad properties that got some really good conservation value north of Gibson Woods. So right now, Indiana DNR, I think Norfolk Southern and maybe CSX, there's a merger going on. And so to get that merger to happen, DNR is trying to get them to set aside some of their parcels along the railroads that are of conservation value that they're not using. So we're hoping to be able to make that happen. So
was that Tolston Ridge maybe? Because I
just
was
south of
able to
Tolston.
hike. I was able to hike that at part of the invasive species conference in September, and Alexa was great. She was amazing. I got lost in the directions, but it was amazing, and she was very accommodating, and saw some blue gentian, in bloom. I mean, which is just fabulous. So I'm really happy to see what you guys are doing.
Yeah, no, that's one of those railroads right there that there's some parcels that we'd love to pick up. So we're hoping it works.
Hey, any more questions? Okay, Valerie and I would like to thank Craig for his talk, and I found it amazing that you went over so much, and perfectly without halting. And I was wondering how you're going to do it, and you did it. So congratulations on that. And so thank you for your talk. I'll see you next month when the speaker or the Calumet Revisited will be Dr. Susan Duncan of the University of Chicago. She'll be talking about efforts to measure air quality in the Calumet region. And I just want to remind everybody that Friday is an all-day meeting of the Calumet of the Association for the Wolf Lake Initiative, and we welcome you to Calumet College any time of the day. So, and thank you for everybody, and we'll see you later.
Great presentation. Thank you.
Yeah,
You're welcome. Take care, everybody.
yeah, Lisa, we'll see you.
See you Friday.
Thank you so much.
Great, Craig. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.